She survived the war, but high school had no clue what was ahead. Mira Halden stepped off the transport shuttle with the wary precision of someone who had survived too many explosions to trust quiet streets. The air smelled like grass and bakery sugar, a shocking contrast to the metallic tang of recycled oxygen she had breathed every day for 3 years on the frontier lines. The morning sun was gentle. The chatter of students drifting toward the school entrance was almost painfully normal. Normal. The word sounded foreign. Earth had no idea. Mira blended into the crowd as best she could, her duffel slung over one shoulder, the sleeves of her jacket pulled low to hide the faint silvery ridges on her arms, scars left by alien plasma burns and hasty field medical patches. Her eyes scanned rooftops, windows, alleys, and antennas with the subconscious efficiency of a trained combat observer. The behavior drew a few strange glances from students nearby, but nothing more. To them, she was just the new girl. To the Galactic Coalition, she was Captain Mira Halden, Defender-class operative, the human teenager who had helped end the Vorth Dominion's siege at Kasara Gate and prevented the annihilation of 2 species. That was the only reason Earth allowed her to come home quietly. No medals, no parades, no interviews. Just reintegration. High school, they said, was the first step. But each step she took toward the entrance felt like walking deeper into enemy territory. Beginning. The soldier in the hallways. Inside Hallway C, the walls were plastered with club posters, robotics, art, drama, astronomy. Students huddled, joked, complained about homework. Lockers slammed. Music leaked from earbuds. Mira flinched at one locker slamming particularly close, her heart leaping into high alert before logic caught up with instinct. Whoa, sorry. A boy with sandy hair and 2 big glasses turned toward her. Didn't mean to scare you. I'm Leo. You knew. Mira forced her breath steady.
Yeah.
Mira. Leo grinned, friendly and unsuspecting. Well, welcome to Ridgeview High, home of overworked students and underpaid teachers. Need help finding anything? Mira hesitated. Accepting help didn't feel natural anymore. But she nodded. Room 214. He pointed down the hall. Ms. Carver's homeroom.
Cool.
I'm headed near there. Walk with me? She followed him, adjusting her pace to match his, a ridiculous thought, because on the battlefield, she had marched alongside 8-foot Sulcari warriors without breaking stride. But here, everything felt delicate, fragile, like she might crush it if she wasn't careful. So, where do you transfer from? Leo asked. The Argus sector, the war front, the burning edge of the galaxy. She settled for far away. He laughed. Mysterious. I like it. Mira tried to smile in return. It felt stiff. When they reached homeroom, a girl with braids and a star-patterned backpack almost collided with her. Sorry. Oh, new student. She tilted her head. Hi, I'm Jade. Welcome. Leo introduced them, and Jade gave him an amused look before whispering to Mira. He adopts new people like stray kittens. Mira didn't fully understand the metaphor, but it made her less tense. Homeroom began, filled with morning announcements and the kind of ordinary boredom Mira had once prayed for while crouched behind a destroyed barricade during a Vorth advance. But even as she tried to blend in, her senses remained alert, counting exits, listening for anomalies, monitoring patterns. She couldn't turn it off. By lunch, Jade insisted they sit together. Leo joined, carrying a stack of robotics magazines. They chatted about classes, clubs, and upcoming events. Mira listened more than she spoke. Then Jade asked, So, what did you do before this? Any hobbies? Myra's fork paused in midair. You mean before fighting biomechanical horrors in vacuum-sealed trenches? Before detonating a Vorth cruiser with improvised charges? Before watching friends die? None of those were acceptable lunch topics. I traveled a lot, she finally said. And trained. Wow, Leo said. Like sports. Jade raised an eyebrow. She looks like she could bench press Leo. Hey. Mira gave a small, real chuckle. Not sports exactly. They dropped the subject. But someone else hadn't. At a nearby table, a tall, broad-shouldered student stared at her with a calculating look. Dark hair, sharp jaw, varsity jacket. The type movies cast as antagonists. His name, she soon learned, was Trent Riker. And he had questions she wasn't ready to answer. Middle. Secrets creep into the light. Trent approached her after school. You're Halden, right? Mira stiffened. Yes. You're weird. It wasn't said cruelly. More like an observation he couldn't reconcile. You move like my uncle, he's military. Where'd you get trained? Mira kept her voice carefully neutral. Different place. Yeah, no kidding. You don't flinch when people yell, but you flinch at lockers slamming. And you looked at the fire alarm panel twice. Who does that? Mira silently cursed her habits. I'm just observant. She tried to walk past. Trent stepped aside, letting her go, but he wasn't convinced. That night, Mira lay awake in her assigned reintegration apartment, the quiet hum of Earth City air conditioning replacing the comforting rumble of a starship's engine core. She stared at the ceiling, restless. Earth didn't feel like home anymore. She thought about her squad, the alien crew who had fought beside her, species with exoskeletons, gill-breathing warriors, telepathic strategists. Friends she might never see again. She had asked Command to let her stay with them, but Earth authorities insisted she needed rehabilitation. A return to civilian life. A childhood restored. But the war had taken that childhood. No amount of high school cafeteria lunches would give it back. The next day, rumors swirled. Did you hear the new girl caught a falling stack of lab equipment before it hit the ground? She outran the whole track team during warm-ups. She lifted a picnic table with one arm. None were entirely true, but not entirely wrong either. Her augmented reflex enhancers, once necessary for survival, now made everything she did seem unnatural. She wasn't superhuman by galaxy standards, but by Earth standards, yes. She was. Her goal was to stay unnoticed. It was failing spectacularly. Things escalated during a science lab session. A short circuit caused a glass reactor chamber to explode. Students screamed, ducking under tables. Mira didn't think. Her instincts fired in an instant. She moved with almost impossible speed, dragging 2 students out of the blast radius, flipping a table to block the shrapnel, and shielding Jade from the shockwave. When the smoke cleared, alarms blaring, every eye was on her. Jade stared wide-eyed. Mira, how did you? Leo whispered. That wasn't normal. Not even Olympic athlete normal. Trent, who'd seen the whole thing, stepped forward. Tell the truth. Who trained you? She couldn't lie anymore. Not after that. But she couldn't tell the truth either. Not all of it. So she said the only piece she could. I fought in a war. Shock. Confusion. Disbelief. You're 16, someone said. No, Mira corrected softly. I'm 19. More stares. Earth students weren't prepared for galactic bureaucracy, where cryostasis for long-distance deployment paused age, or where battlefield promotions came before birthdays. Ms. Carver, breath shaky, grabbed the emergency phone. We need the counselor. And administrator. And maybe, I don't know who else. Mira felt panic rising, the rare kind she used to feel when her oxygen tank was punctured in a breach. She couldn't let Earth authorities drag her into another round of interrogations. She had followed their reintegration plan. She deserved at least this attempt at normalcy. But then the wall behind her flickered. It wasn't her imagination. A ripple in the air. A distortion. A cloaked entry breach. No, not here. A fourth infiltrator drone decloaked. Black chitin armor. Red visor. Multi-limbed. A horror she had hoped to never see again. Screams erupted. The drone's targeting eye glowed. It scanned. It found her. And Mira felt every cell in her body snap back into soldier mode. Middle continued. War at Ridgeview High. The drone struck first, its arms splitting into a plasma blade, slicing across tables as students fled. Everyone down, Mira shouted, diving forward, grabbing a metal stand to deflect the attack. The impact rattled the room. Leo froze behind a desk. Jade yanked him down. Trent grabbed a fire extinguisher, acting on instinct rather than sense. Mira, Jade screamed. What is that thing? Mira didn't answer. She was too busy tackling the drone through the door and into the hallway, sparks spraying from lockers as it crashed hard. The drone hissed, an artificial, warbling sound designed to mimic intimidation. Mira stood, breathing steady. You shouldn't be here, she growled. The war is over. The drone replied in a metallic voice. Directive. Neutralize the human asset. You remain a threat. Too bad. She lunged. The fight tore down Hallway C. Mira used everything, banners, lockers, torn wiring, classroom doors. Earth environments weren't designed for combat, but she adapted quickly, using narrow hallways to restrict the drone's movements, forcing it against corners where she could strike vulnerable joints. Students fled around them, teachers yelling for evacuations. Trent, unbelievably, stayed just long enough to toss her the fire extinguisher he still held. Hey, robot bug thing. Cool off. It turned toward him. Big mistake. Mira rammed into it, angling the extinguisher like a battering ram, smashing its optical sensors. It screeched. But it wasn't done. The drone self-stabilized, limbs sharpening into piercing spikes. It charged. Mira braced. But Jade threw something. A robotics club prototype, a magnetic pulse grenade, weak but disruptive. It snapped onto the drone's torso. Leo yelled, Mira, hit it now. She didn't hesitate. She ripped a metal locker door off its hinges and slammed it into the pulse device. It overloaded in a blinding flash. The drone convulsed, sparks flying, then collapsed in a sparking heap. Silence. Panicked breathing. Fire alarms. Running feet in the distance. Jade approached, trembling. Mira, what was that? Mira finally breathed. A leftover enemy, she answered quietly. One that shouldn't have found me. Trent stepped up beside them, voice low. So, when you said you fought in a war, it wasn't here, Mira said. It wasn't on Earth. And I didn't want any of you involved. Leo pushed his glasses up. Too late for that. Mira slumped against the ruined locker. Yeah, too late. Ending. Humanity finds out what it really is. Authorities arrived fast, Earth's rapid response teams, then an off-world coalition liaison, then administrators who were seconds from having heart attacks. Students were evacuated. The building was quarantined. The drone remains were hauled away under heavy guard. Mira expected the worst. Detention, removal from Earth, reassignment to some isolated veteran facility. But something unexpected happened. Her friends she'd known for barely a week, defended her. Jade explained how Mira saved lives in the lab explosion. Leo described her quick thinking and restraint during the attack. Trent, normally quiet in official settings, told the administrators, she didn't bring danger here. She fought it. You should be thanking her. The administrators exchanged nervous glances. They weren't accustomed to alien battle drones appearing on school property, or students rallying behind a veteran of an off-world war. The coalition liaison, Ambassador Resh, a tall avian being with shimmering feathers, finally stepped forward. Captain Mira Halden acted with valor, Resh said, voice echoing. She protected your young, your school, your world. The Vorth remnants pursued her, not because she is dangerous, but because she is effective. Ms. Carver stammered. What does that mean? It means, Resh added, that humanity should be proud. Mira blinked. The words hit deeper than expected. After hours of questioning, cleanup, and emergency protocol, Mira was finally allowed to step outside again. Evening sunlight bathed the courtyard. Students lingered beyond the barriers, whispering, staring, curious but not afraid. Jade, Leo, and Trent broke away from the crowd and hurried toward her. Leo asked, So, are you still coming to school on Monday? Mira looked at him, incredulous. After all this? Jade shrugged. Well, yeah. Someone needs to explain our science notes. And we're definitely recruiting you for robotics club, Leo said. Trent crossed his arms. Plus, if more alien bug things show up, we'll need you. Not helping, Jade muttered. Mira felt warmth spread in her chest, a feeling she thought she'd left somewhere among the stars. Thanks, she said softly. All of you. Jade grinned. Welcome to Earth. We're weird. You'll fit in fine. For the first time since returning home, Mira believed it. As security teams continued their work and sunlight dipped toward the horizon, Mira stood among her first real friends in years. The war had taken much from her, time, innocence, certainty, but it had not taken her humanity. And if Earth ever needed her again, she would be ready, because surviving the war had taught her one thing. Humans didn't know their own strength until the universe tested it. And she, Mira Halden, would show them just how strong they could be.
End.